Hi guys, welcome back to my channel as we go through the Law of One material teachings. And I want to start doing a Q&A segment. I get a lot of people messaging me, asking me questions or to clarify or divine things that I understand in the Law of One. And today I had a message and it did strike a chord with me of a topic that I actually know very well with the Law of One and with the remembrance of my past lives about before I incarnated onto this one. And this question is from Ashling. Now, she wants to know if I had read a book called The Impersonal Life. Now, I haven't read that book, but this book talks about how God is within us. And she says, I assume that's our higher self that it's referring to. And it talks about the paths are already paved for us, and we are simply going through what we have already set out to do here. It talks about even the mistakes that we make are part of that path. And she says, I'm finding it difficult to comprehend where free will came into relation to our higher self being in control. Is that our higher self has free will, but our personality, mind, body, spirit complex, as it's referred to, is doing just what it set out to do? This is a great question. And in the material of the Law of one of the examples that Ra tried to explain about how we choose our life and what we do to incarnate into this life. Now, some people call it the way station that we're in after we die. We go to the way station, we review our lives, we analyze every decision, every thought that we had during our life. We go through healing sometimes, and there aren't any major rules about what you need to do next. You have guidance from your soul family, you have guidance from your higher self, and you also have guidance from your spirit guides. Now, when you're in that realm and about to incarnate into another life, that's going to be completely your choice. And in the books, it talks about how we all have soul families. We all go from life to life, grouped together to help each other expand our consciousness and expand our experience, because that's what God, Source, wants to do. It wants to expand, it wants to know itself more. And the more that the extension of Source, which is us, can help Source know itself better is by incarnating into these lives and raising our consciousness and knowing more about what it means to live these lives. Now, from this perspective of before you incarnate into a life, it's like if you were in the rafters of a casino and you're looking down at the casino floor and say like a huge poker tournament, and each table has like 5 people at it and they're all playing this game. But when you are from Source Energy Consciousness perspective, you can see everything. You can see everybody's hand. You know how everyone's going to play their hand. You can see how the deck is stacked. You can see which hands would fold, and then that would put one person to another table, and then that person would go to a different table. So you can see how everything is lined out. But look at the poker tables as being your soul family, or your say there's 5 people at a table and this one person is going to go to a different table and you're going to move into that slot. That means you're being born into that soul family, into that grouping. So yes, from Source's perspective, you can try to plan out the life and everything that you want to experience, because you can see every timeline, all the possibilities, but the thing is, we have free will. Just as much as you think you know or expect or can see that that person would fold that hand, we have free will. Say in the realm, once we're down here on earth, they go all in. Well, that would completely change the timeline, and that is where free will comes in. Now, when you go into this life, you're not going in alone. It's like a whole group of you, discusses and plans and tries to set forth and set goals that you want to do, and you go in all at once, right? It's like, okay, you're going to be the dad. I'm going to be the mom, and you're going to be our child because I was the child last time, and this time I want to be the mom. And you can kind of see how all these things are planned out. And it's not just that. When you go into a life, you also come in with attributes to help you along in the goals and expansion you wanted to experience. Even though you might have one family, all members of the family have different likes and wants and expectations and goals. Like, even though a family might have three children, one child might love to play the violin, one child might love science, one child might just want to travel and live like a hobo. Even though they're all from the same family and have the same upbringing, you come in with attributes to help you on the path that you set forth. Now, once you go in, it's like you're looking down from the rafters at this game of life that you see, this huge tournament of activity. The thing is, once you go in, you completely forget that you're playing this game. You completely forget everything. That is the point of it. It wouldn't count if you don't pierce the veil of forgetting and experience this and remember all your past lives. But you are tethered to your higher self, which is in sixth density. Now, from higher sources perspective, it's as if your higher self is looking down at a huge map, and it has a beginning and an end, the moment you were born and the moment you die. And your higher self does not interfere with your free will. It's a very hands-off approach, but your higher self can give you cues to stay on the path that you set forth. So that could be roadblocks, that could be detours, that could be things that bump you along to try to stay in your path. Now, you can choose to ignore all these signs because when you're incarnated here, your emotions are your guidance systems. Your intuition is your guidance system for where you're going to go next. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't follow these things that you should have a perfect life, because everyone who incarnates here doesn't incarnate here to have a perfect life every time. The point is expansion of consciousness of source energy, and that can't happen if you have a perfect life and everything turns out the way you would think is like a good outcome, right? So, and a lot of times, even some people go into a life incarnated here really just to sacrifice themselves for someone else so they can attain their goals. And when you're going on this map of life from source's perspective and from your higher self's perspective, say, someone comes into your life and you have a relationship with that person, and that person end up being a monster, and it ended up being a horrible relationship and a horrible breakup, and it completely derailed your life completely, and it set you off on this totally different path when you broke up, and you say you're devastated that you had this relationship. Why did this relationship come into my life? Why did it end so badly? And why would I even want that? Why would I set forth for that? Was that planned? And you could ask yourself all these questions. Now, you probably won't know the answer to that until after your death, when you do your assessment about the timelines that you wanted to experience. But not everything that bad happens to you is part of the plan, and not everything that's bad happens to you is because of karma or things like that, or because you want to experience pain. Sometimes things like, say, a bad relationship can act as a bumper car, bumping you back into your lane to where you need to be. And you fell into a bad relationship because the timeline that you were on, you were never going to reach your goal. And that can be anything. So you have spirit guides around you, you have your higher self almost watching you from source consciousness and helping you, guide you along, but with a very hands-off approach. Even if you ask for help, you might have had a soul contract with your soul family, and and you're like, I don't want any help this time. I'm going to do this one all on my own. No matter what I say or do, don't help me. Even if I go through an awakening, don't help me, I want it on my own. So, maybe your higher self or your spirit guides aren't getting involved because you requested that. There is absolute free will here. And when I say free will, I don't mean, someone could kidnap me and keep me in a dungeon and take me against my will. That's not what I mean. And that's not what source consciousness means by free will. When we say free will, we think about your own existing thoughts and your own frequency vibration of your consciousness. Kind of like you can be tortured and kidnapped, and they will say 2 plus 2 equals 5. And you might finally say, yes, 2 plus 2 equals 5 and agree to that. But that's not your free will. Doesn't matter how much someone tortures you to say that. You don't believe it. It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change your frequency or your consciousness, because your free will in the end is always yours. No matter what someone does to you, it is your free will to determine that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Even though you say it, no matter how much someone tortures you, this is your free will. So this is who you remain in your vibration is always that. No one can really take it away from you, no matter what. And that's what we mean by free will. When you set out and want to do something, even though you do it or don't do it, no matter what interference someone has, it's your free will to have those thoughts and to hold whatever frequency you want to hold. And that's what we mean by free will. So that doesn't get interfered with from your higher self, your soul family, your spirit guide, source energy. Doesn't matter what negative entity comes in, they cannot force you to think something else that you think, or change your frequency, or change your vibration. That is what we mean when there's no interfering with free will. You cannot force that. Doesn't matter what you do. Free will is the first distortion in all of source consciousness. It was one of the first things that ever happened. It was the first thought. It was the first thing. Long before there was light and love and expansion, free will was the very first thing. The thought that was yours, the I am, that no one can change. So that is what's at play when you're incarnated here. You set forth to have a certain life, to have certain experiences, to have certain attributes that you have here in the life. And everything that happens to you can be bumped along as you go through this life journey. And from your higher self's perspective, you're tethered to your higher self. Now, when you sleep at night, you will go and pierce the veil of forgetting, and you will not completely merge with your higher self, but you will do a lot of reviews, and you can go to certain different realms and have a different perspective on the things that are happening. That's why you really want to listen to your dreams and remember your dreams. You're not going to remember a dream and it's going to be perfectly laid out about what you can do, because that's interfering with your free will. That's interfering with how you feel about things. Because when you wake up with a dream, it comes with an emotion. Right? Now that emotion is the signal to how to interpret this dream as a metaphor. Like for instance, if you have a dream that you're on a boat and everything's flooded in your neighborhood, and you're helping rescue people because you have a boat. Now, when you wake up, that's not going to mean that you are going to experience a flood in your neighborhood and you better go out and buy a boat. What that would then mean, the metaphor of that, is like saying that you are not on this stable ground anymore. You are on this wobbly boat, and but you're still in a better position than other people are. And you can interpret that as saying that you have a feeling that you want to help someone. And how can you help someone that feels unstable and unsafe? That could be the message in the dream, because they are metaphors. And these are some of the things that your soul family and your higher self will offer you in a way to help you along during this life. So I hope that helps answers your question, Ashlyn. And I do have a lot of questions here that I will start to answer as I have time to put up these videos. And I'm also going to be starting a new segment with a friend of mine, Corey, Calls with Corey, because he wants to learn the law of one, and I think he's in the same place as a lot of you are in it. They're spiritual, they're awakened, but they seek answers and some guidance and understanding of things that can seem difficult to comprehend, or they just want a broader range of knowledge about things. So as we start the Calls with Corey, I hope you guys enjoy the talks that we have together, because when I talk with him, I think our conversations are so good. It's like, you know what? I should be recording this. I bet so many people would be interested in the questions you're asking me and the conversations we're having. So those are coming up next as I still go through all the lessons that I'm trying to give you guys. And yeah, send me, you can, if you have a question for me, you can DM me on my Instagram at Pamela Mace. And you can leave a comment. I try to go through as many of the comments as I can, and I might be able to answer your question. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Ashlyn, for sending me that question. I'll see you guys in the next video.